Have you ever been on a shopping trip that was supposed to take like 5 minutes, but an hour later you're still there, totally lost in a sea of mysterious products? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're going to try and make sense of the world of cosmetics and grooming all through that very familiar scene.
You can just feel the frustration in that, can't you? It's the classic cry for help from the makeup aisle. We're dropping you right into the middle of the conflict, where a simple promise is about to be, well, completely shattered.
All right, so how exactly did a 5-minute promise turn into this epic shopping showdown? Let's back up just a little bit and see how we got here.
So the mission, it seemed pretty simple. Replace a lost makeup bag. Just a few essential items. That's it. But as that shopping basket started filling up, her partner started to realize that a few things means something very different to different people.
And this right here is where things really start to get confusing for him. I mean, look at this list. This is just for the eyes. We haven't even touched the rest of the face yet. You can literally feel the confusion growing.
Okay, so what is all this stuff anyway? Let's do a little decoding. We're going to break down the contents of this makeup bag and figure out what everything actually does, starting with that pretty long list for the eyes.
Eyeliner. At its most basic, it's a tool for definition. But calling it a crayon, like our frustrated shopper in the story did, is actually a perfect way to get it. You draw with it to make your eyes pop. Simple as that.
Next up, we've got mascara. Just think of it like paint, but for your eyelashes. For a lot of people, this is the one essential item. If you were stuck on a desert island and could only have one makeup product, mascara is often the winner, just because of the huge difference it makes.
And then there's foundation. Honestly, the name kinda says it all, right? Just like the foundation of a house creates a solid, even base to build on, cosmetic foundation does the same thing for your face. It creates a smooth canvas for everything else that's coming.
Now let's talk about lips. It's really easy to mix up lipstick and lip gloss, but they do totally different things. Lipstick is all about packing a punch with rich color, often with a flat or matte finish. Lip gloss, on the other hand, is all about the shine, getting that glossy, wet look. So 2 different tools for 2 completely different results.
But wait, just when you think our case is closed, the plot takes a twist. The defense is about to make its counterargument, and folks, it is a total game changer.
And boom, with that one sentence, the tables have completely turned. All of a sudden, the spotlight isn't on her shopping bag anymore. Now it's shining right on his bathroom cabinet. And it turns out he might just have his own army of bottles and potions that are just as pricey and numerous.
So, this opens up a whole new world of products, doesn't it? As it turns out, his grooming routine is its own multi-step process with its own specialized gear. Who knew?
Let's take aftershave, for example. This stuff does double duty. On the one hand, it's skincare. It helps calm down any irritation you might get from shaving. But on the other hand, it's also a fragrance, leaving behind that nice, subtle scent.
And speaking of scents, here's a little fun fact. We usually use the word perfume for women's fragrances and cologne for men's. But really, they're both just scented liquids. The biggest difference is usually just in the terminology, and sometimes the concentration of the oils.
All right, let's move on to hair. Have you ever stood in that aisle and wondered about the difference between all those styling things? Let's start with mousse. It's a foam, and that comparison to whipped cream, it's spot on. It's super light and airy, and it's meant to give your hair volume and shape without that stiff, crunchy feeling.
So here's the deal. If you want a really strong, almost rock-solid hold that's going to last all day, you go for the gel. But if you want a softer, more flexible style that still has some natural movement, you reach for the mousse. Same basic goal, styling your hair, but they get you there in very different ways. So after all of that back and forth, what's the big picture here? Let's try and connect the dots between these 2 shopping lists that seemed so different at first.
Okay, here it is. This is the real takeaway. Eyeliner and aftershave, lipstick and hair gel, they might be totally different products, but they all share the same purpose. It all comes down to personal care, grooming, and at the end of the day, it's a form of self-expression.
So the next time you find yourself in that grooming aisle, maybe think about this. Whether it's a product you call a crayon or one that smells like sandalwood. These little daily rituals are so much more than just a routine. They're choices. And what are those choices really saying about who we are and maybe who we want to be?